welcome to this special edition of the Phil Taylor Jones Show. As usual, we are more than happy to have you along with us. We are on the second part of a three-part series dedicated to the Green Party candidate, Jill Stein. Today we're going to be talking about her vision for the country, her plan. I'm Phil Taylor Jones, your host, and we're going to go through these items one by one. The exec and I are going to pair off, and there are about 12 of them, and so we're going to take them one by one, and some of them are pretty self-explanatory, and others I will expound on a little bit, as will he. And this gives us further insight to this wonderful lady that we hope will be our leader, our president. Many good plans here, lots of good stuff. They're abbreviated because if we really delved into them greatly, we'd be here for the next 3 months, almost up until election day. So we're going to get into that right now, and we're so glad you could join us. Let me get a hold of my specs here, because when you get a little older, you start tromboning, getting specs. First, we're going to talk about Jill's Green New Deal, which will create millions of jobs by transitioning to 100% clean renewable energy by the year 2030 and investing in public transportation, sustainable agriculture, and conservation. Everybody's talking about going green and preserving our environment. And why? To protect Mother Earth. We want to, lead on a global treaty to halt climate change. Now, while I'm not a big advocate of climate change, I do support Jill's protecting Mother Earth to the fullest. If you've heard other shows or seen other shows, you've heard me say that the preserving of our earth for our children and our grandchildren and their children is of the utmost. The earth is a wonderful machine. It can renew itself, it can sustain itself up to a point. But we as humans, since there's so many of us, we have the unfortunate tendency to create garbage, and we really need to curtail that. We need to put a stop to that. We need to recycle. We need to do all the things that we can do to preserve our Mother Earth, and Jill is right on board with that. She plans on ending destructive energy extraction, fracking, tar sands, offshore drilling, oil trains, mountaintop removal, and uranium mines. Protecting our public lands, our water supplies, our biological diversity, our national parks, and our pollinators. Labeling GMOs and putting a moratorium on GMOs and pesticides until they're proven safe. Protecting the rights of the future generations is what this lady is all about. And she really, really needs to be in the White House. Racial justice. Now, we know that we got a big problem with race here in this country. A lot of people want to bury their heads in the sand regarding this. But Jill doesn't. She takes the problem on head on by ending police brutality and mass incarceration, creating a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to understand and eliminate the legacy of slavery that lives on as pervasive racism in the economy, education, housing, and health. To ensure that communities control their police rather than the police controlling the communities, by establishing police review boards and full-time investigators to look into all cases of death in police custody, and to demilitarize the police. I think that's a very good plan, because, so many people have taken such an adverse stand to this group, Black Lives Matter. Now, they have been causing a ruckus, this is true, but to just sit there and demonize them as terrorists and what have you, as if by no chance at all they popped up for no apparent reason is not only ignorant, but it just shows a total lack of understanding and owning that we do have a racism problem. Jill Stein, she takes it on. She recognizes the problem and has a plan in place to do something about it. Let's move along, shall we? To freedom and equality. She wants to expand women's rights, equal pay for equal work as it should be. Shouldn't be $10 for guys and $8.25 for the ladies. If the ladies are doing their share of work as the guys, then $10 all around. And equal rights all around. She wants to protect people from discrimination, defend indigenous rights and lands, and create a welcoming path to citizenship for immigrants. To protect the free internet, legalize marijuana, and treat substance abuse as a public health problem, not a criminal problem. You know, let me just take this apart for a couple of seconds, because I just want to say in some of the foreign countries like Holland, we noticed this on a very popular travel show that we watch on telly, Rick Steve's Europe. In some parts of Europe, especially Holland, in Amsterdam, places like that, they take marijuana and they've legalized it. One, because they know they're never going to get rid of it. We've had a war on drugs for how long? And it's just fallen apart. It's cost billions of dollars, and it's still free flowing. Jill wants to legalize it and tax it, just like they did with liquor back in the Prohibition days, and tobacco. They legalized it and taxed it. It takes the criminal element off the table. It helps generate money for our economy, and we now know that marijuana is good in some cases for medicinal purposes, but still there's that rift between the states and the federal law. So if that's taken off the table by legalizing it, then better for all around. Now, those of you who know me know that I do have a problem with immigration, and I love Jill to pieces, but this immigration thing I feel should be taken off the table. No immigration. We got enough foreigners in this country. We got enough foreigners here, both legally and illegally, to do whatever we need to have done. We need to get these legal ones, or these illegal ones, get them a path to citizenship, because you can't get rid of them. It's going to be too much of a cost effective. And you know my feelings on that. The ones that have committed heinous crimes and should be put out of our country, make sure that happens most expeditiously. But for God's sake, close the border, because we got enough of them over here till we find out what we're going to do with them when we get all our homeless veterans off the street and our other homeless citizens. Maybe in 50 years' time, 60 years' time, we'll think about opening the borders again. Shut the door. Nobody else comes in. We deal with the people we already got here. We got more than enough American patriots and foreigners to get her done. No more. But I mean, if that's what Jill wants to do, I'll as our president, I will respect that, but that's just my personal feeling on that. Okay, let's move on to a just economy. Set a $15 an hour federal minimum wage, break up too big to fail banks, and democratize the Federal Reserve, reject gentrification as a model of economic development, support development of worker and community cooperatives and small businesses, make Wall Street, big corporations, and the rich pay their fair share of taxes, create democratically run banks and utilities, replace corporate trade agreements with fair trade agreements. This TPP, get it out of here. And these other asinine trade agreements that hurt American workers as well. Now, here's my take on that $15 an hour federal minimum wage. Yes, something needs to happen, because for so long we have had this little piddly amount, and if you've noticed, things around that amount that they're wanting to pay people have gone up exponentially. Now, here's my thing. The prices that we pay for things are up here. Even if we raise it to minimum wage and things keep going up, they'll never catch up, because what we pay for things is already far more elevated than what we're paid to pay for the things we have to pay for. So if we could elevate the $15 per hour minimum wage and bring those prices down to an even keel, that would balance it out. There's far too much greed in everything. When you have to go to the grocery store and buy a loaf of bread and pay $4 or $5 for it, as opposed to getting the bargain brand because it sticks to your mouth like so much bubble gum, there's a problem there. We've got greedy, unscrupulous landlords and these banks owning the houses that we purchase. You know, that needs to be dealt with. Gasoline prices, these big fat cats in the oil industry ride around in their limousines and in their private jets and in their $23 million yachts and all that, while we scuffle along trying to buy a tank of gas. All of that needs to be taken in consideration as well. How wonderful it would be to have a president in office that addresses these very things. Moving on to my last bullet before I turn it over to the exec. Peace and human rights. To establish a foreign policy based on diplomacy, international law, and human rights. In the wars and drone attacks, cut military spending by at least 50%, and close the 700 plus foreign military bases that are turning our republic into a bankrupt empire. Stop U.S. support and arms sales to human rights abusers, and lead on global nuclear disarmament. Foreign policy, I have long said that we need to stop sticking our nose in other people's business. They run their countries the way they run them. We may not agree with it, but we need to focus more on what's going on in our country. Because after all, things in our country aren't going so good right now. So how in the world can you tell somebody else how to grow hair on their bald head if yours is bald? We need to take care of interests at home. I've long said that if somebody needs our help, be there to help them. But, you know, we need to take care of what's going on in America. Closing these 700 plus foreign military bases and taking care of all of these countries that have the money and the power to take care of themselves. I'm totally on board with that. Bring our troops home to protect our soil and let those people protect their own interest over there. We don't have the money, the time, or the power to be bothered with trying to take care of the world. We elect a president to take care of the United States for far too long. We've had a president in there that's wanting to be the emperor of the world. Jill Stein wants to take care of things in this country as it should be. And with that, I will turn it over to our executive producer. Exec, take it away.
Thank you, and very well articulated on your opinions on the ideas she has, and been many great ideas she does have. That's why we're on her side. I'll go with 4 bullets in a row and then elaborate on all of them as one. Jobs as a right. Create living wage jobs for every American who needs work, replacing unemployment offices with employment offices. Advance workers' rights to form unions, achieve workplace democracy, and keep a fair share of the wealth they create. End poverty. Guarantee economic human rights, including access to food, water, housing, and utilities, with effective anti-poverty programs to ensure every American a life of dignity. How about that? Healthcare as a right. Establish and improve Medicare for all, single-payer public health insurance program to provide everyone with quality health care at huge savings. Education as a right. Abolish student debt to free a generation of Americans from debt servitude. Guarantee tuition-free, world-class public education from preschool through university. End high-stakes testing and public school privatization. Now, if you didn't catch the theme with those 4 bullets, it's her whole entire theme in general, the power to the people. She's trying to give the rights back to the people that they deserve to live as a human. And she's trying to make sure that the people have power for once. again. You know, to have a jobs available and plentiful for everybody, to have control of your own job by allowing unions and getting probably abolishing union busters. She didn't include that, but I'm sure that's in there, in order to achieve workplace democracy, where the people have the power over what goes on in their job, making the money that they make their money and their decision on how it's spent, not the other way around, where the corporations are just trying to be greedy and have the money for themselves and do the things they want to do things. No more corporation, no more governments, no more big companies in power. You know, this Medicare for all thing is a good thing too, because I can almost swear ever since this supposed Obamacare came out, affordable healthcare is so affordable that they charge people that if they don't actually accept the plan. But I could swear ever since it came out, I lost my Medicare coverage. I spoke to with Medicare, and they claimed it was because I had not received a certain type of benefit anymore. It wasn't just disability, it was only a supplemental security. And but that wasn't the case, because I had that change for the longest time, but not until he came here with his plan did I lose Medicare. But it's the way it needs to be, with everybody having that, everybody having those rights, And this education, she's so right about this tuition free and abolishing student debt, because it's gotten out of hand. These people charging all this high amounts of money, and everybody getting in major debt and everything. It shouldn't be that way, Here's a next bullet. Justice for all. Restore our constitutional rights. Terminate unconstitutional surveillance and unwarranted spying. Julian Assange and all the other people, are in issues right now because of the rest of this statement here. End persecution of government and media whistleblowers. I'll cut off in the middle and not finish the whole thing. You shouldn't be allowed to come back to your own country just because you're trying to get the truth out there of crooked government. It's like the mafia almost. When you say something against the mafia, there's no getting out of the mafia, but if you do get out, your life's in jeopardy. You say something against the mafia, your life's in jeopardy. It shouldn't be that way. They shouldn't be crooked in the first place. And I'll continue with close Guantanamo, abolish secret kill lists, and repeal indefinite detention without charge or trial. A lot of these things are major issues that need to be actually addressed, and she's about doing that. And finally, empower the people. And before I continue with this one, this whole statement in and of itself is one of the reasons that she's not nationally recognized like Republicans and Democrats are as an independent party, as a Green Party. Abolish corporate personhood. Protect voters' rights by establishing a constitutional right to vote. Enact electoral reforms that break the big money stranglehold and create truly representative democracy. Public campaign financing, ranked choice voting, proportional representation, and open debates. This whole thing right here is about getting the people to be in charge and the people to fund what they want for presidential people. It shouldn't be that they don't have their own debates, and like this says, open debates and proportional representation. Proportional representation, as I said before I started this one, is what they exactly need to, for once, be in the ballots and everything. Their names are not in the ballots, and that's not fair.
Their own convention.
You shouldn't have to write that in. You should have their own official functions going on and everything. And with those last two bullets mentioned, these current two candidates, they all claim they want to make change. They want to improve things. They say they're going to improve things. But truth be known, they don't want to create, they do claim they want to create change, but how are they going to when they want to keep stuff going the way it is with corporations and all these different things that Jill's been mentioning, that we've mentioned about Jill. They want to keep the money coming in the way it is, as my brother alluded to with his hand signals there. They want to keep things status quo, but they still want to change them. How can you make change when you don't want to change? You can't make change without, you can't make omelets without breaking a couple eggs. And what Jill's trying to do is make radical changes, huge changes to the way everything is ran, and that's the kind of change that actually would get these things done, not the kind of change that, well, I'm just going to do this and it's going to be great, or I'm going to make this better for these type of people. It's not going to happen until you get the power into the hands of the people, and that's what she's all about. Changing the way things are ran, putting the power of jobs, economy, the health of the earth into the people. They make the decision. The world is populated by people, not by government. The people should have more control than the government. And that's her plan. I mean, like I said, and repeating myself, power to the people. And that's why she's on our side. We're on her side. She wants to have a dramatic change, which is necessary to actually get things done. You know, you can't make an egg just by placing the egg on the skillet and expecting it to, well, I mean, eventually it'll probably, you know, from the heat crack open, you know, or at least shatter open, and it'll start doing its thing, but then you're going to have a messed up omelet. You have to pick out the eggshells. That's the kind of change that the Republicans and Democrats want, but the kind of change she wants is do things the right way. And that's what we need to have done, you know.
I agree with you totally. We need somebody that is a people person. With the two candidates we have out there now, the two major ones from these greedy establishment parties are not people persons. One is just an overall louse. She couldn't lead rats to a garbage can. And the other one is such a pompous ass that he pushes people away from him. Now, he's got his own, you know, contingent that just love him to pieces and thinks he can do no wrong. But obviously, he can do wrong. And, you know, it's more than evident that these are two people that we don't need in the White House. We need somebody that's going to go in there, rally the people around, and get something done. That's been the problem with the past 16 years of the presidency, the people that we've had in the presidency. They don't know how to rally the troops and get the, you know, regiment moving. It's always a gridlock. It's a stagnation, and it only hurts us, the American people. So it's about time that we've gotten somebody in there that has our best interest at heart. I'll close out the show saying this, or asking this. When is the last time in recent history have you seen a president in office that was not, and I reiterate, was not of either one of these two greedy establishment parties? It is time for a new independence. It's time for Jill Stein. Thank you so much for joining us for the Phil Taylor Jones Show, and stay tuned and be back with us tomorrow for the conclusion of our Jill Stein series, and we hope that you will be able to join us. Thank you so much. Stay happy, stay safe. See you next time. Bye-bye.